Baseball winter meetings are in full swing right now, and the Cubs are trying to make things happen without spending money, or at least not spending much money. We saw the Mets mega deal to go and get Juan Soto. The Yankees went out and got Max Fried. They're spending money. How can the Cubs make an impact without spending money? And that is trades. Cody Bellinger out. Kyle Tucker in. Would the Cubs be willing to trade for another one of those mega stars, Kyle Tucker? We're going to get into that on the Cubs baseball channel. So let's get this thing going. Make sure that you like, subscribe, thumbs up. Thanks for hanging out with us here on the channel. Let's get the show started. Thanks, everybody. Mick Gillespie, welcome to the Cubs baseball channel. And here we are talking Cubs today as the winter meetings continue to roll on. And we're hoping that maybe the Cubs can pull off the Roki Sasaki thing. I mean, it would be right up their alley to get a guy for $7 million or whatever they could do in the international spending market. But because there's a cap on it, that puts them right in the Cubs range, right? Yeah. Well, so we'll find out. I think they're in the mix, talked about it, and as we get information, we'll do that some more. But that one probably not going to materialize until after the new year. Now, a deal that John Morosi, one of the base baseball insiders, was talking about on a radio show in Chicago that was worth mentioning here is Kyle Tucker to the Cubs. Now, the Yankees, they want Kyle Tucker too, and maybe the same type of thing they did last year with Juan Soto, where they trade some prospects, bundle them up, and then get Tucker to come to New York and then try to sign him for a mega deal. Maybe they don't have the Mets outbidding them. And everyone's saying that the Yankees would have matched or exceeded the Mets offer, but they didn't get the opportunity. I don't know. It's a ton of money that they're spending for Juan Soto, and Tucker could be the next guy to get a huge contract. But according to John Morosi, the Cubs have the prospect capital to make a deal here. And he said, hey, 25% chance that the Cubs could make this deal. Now, the Astros, according to Morosi, still love having Tucker. The Yankees want him. How interested are the Cubs in giving up their prospects for a Kyle Tucker? Now, if you're an organization that has a lot of stability, you would probably shy away from this deal, right? Because you're going to have to give up some pretty big prospect names, some pretty big talent to get this guy. But I don't feel like that's the situation. I feel like with one-year contracts and kind of at the end of this Theo and Jed run, this is a Hail Mary type of season for the Cubs front office, and this would be a Hail Mary type move. But you know what? Look, the Yankees got to the World Series last year. That gets you a contract extension. Maybe you win one, and then you're there for a long time. So it's definitely a risk reward type deal, and we'll find out if the Cubs are serious. I tend to think that they are. I mean, I think they could give up some big time players, and would that include a Owen Casey or Matt Shaw or both? Or maybe some other guys in their system. But if I'm the Astros and I'm making a deal for Kyle Tucker, I got to get one of those two guys back. Unless the Cubs are willing to give up Pete Crow Armstrong, I don't think they're going to do that. So we'll find out. Plus, the Cubs have a bunch of outfielders that are prospects along with Casey that they could move. They are in a position of strength when it comes to prospects. And so Kyle Tucker to the Cubs is alive at winter meetings, but still a long shot. Now, the Cody Bellinger trade watch continues, and a new name has popped up, according to sources, and that is the Seattle Mariners. And this one makes some sense, right? I mean, he's an Arizona guy. I guess that makes him a West Coast type dude, and he played for the Dodgers, and that seemed like home for him. And the Mariners, they seem to have all the pitching and not enough of the hitting. He could go in there and maybe help them get over the hump and score some runs. They competed last year, but they just didn't have the offensive prowess to really make the strides that it was going to take for them scoring enough runs to take advantage of the great pitching. Bellinger doesn't have a spot right now on the Cubs. I mean, he signed the opt-in, but he was a center fielder. Pete Crow Armstrong kind of took that spot. He's a first baseman. Michael Busch took that spot. And the DH spot feels like it's Seiya Suzuki's, something that Suzuki said, hey, I don't really want to be a DH. I want to be an outfielder. Yeah, the problem is, Seiya, we love you, but you're not very good in the outfield. You miss too many balls. So when Owen Casey gets there, if he gets there, you're never going to play the outfield again. Just telling you that. Because Casey's way better than you defensively. And in the big leagues, you can't miss balls hit right to you. But you can hit. So, and you got a no trade clause. They've talked about that, the Cubs have kicked the tires on some deals for Suzuki, but don't look for a trade there with Seiya Suzuki. And look, on top of that, you're trying to bring in Sasaki. You really need help from your Japanese players to try to make the case for the Cubs. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Absolutely love the Japanese players and what they bring to the table, not just on the field but off the field. The culture in Japan is a team culture. It's a disciplined culture. It's a winning culture, and it translates. It translates. I mean, look who won the World Series last year, right? And you're talking about maybe the two best Japanese players in the world on that team. So, would love to see Sasaki join Imanaga and Seiya Suzuki. So we'll find out, but I'm not looking for a Seiya Suzuki deal to be made. I think he's going to be a DH and a part-time outfielder. And even Craig Counsell was asked about it at winter meetings, and he basically was like, look, we had to do that because it helps our team win. And, I got the feeling that it really didn't matter what Seiya wanted, that the bottom line was going to be, and I see the future coming, unless the Cubs trade Owen Casey, that the Casey is going to be your everyday right fielder. Yeah, and because he can hit, and because he's a really good outfielder. So we'll find out. A lot to shake out, and in the next couple days, I mean, hey, there's a chance that by the time you're watching this video, that some moves have been made that I don't even get to yet, because that's how fluent this whole thing is. Now, the Cubs lost the draft lottery, right? It wasn't a terrible loss. It wasn't like they had the most balls and they ended up at 17, but they had, if they would have done it the old way, the Cubs would have drafted 14th, and now they're 17th. So, whatever. I like the lottery. It does help tanking some, and having the first overall pick is a big deal. There's a lot of talent in baseball. Cubs, they're the team that keeps on getting very close to making the playoffs, but don't make the playoffs. So that means that you're the team that's like right there up against the playoff, and you're not getting in. So it's not for the drafting. The drafting percentage is not great. And then, on top of that, I feel like the 83-79 record from last year wasn't even like legit. I mean, they came on at the end, and, when everybody else was playing prospects and didn't care about winning, they were already out of it. The Cubs kind of milked that situation, but, we'll see. Wanted to kind of just touch on this too, mention that the Yankees signed Max Fried to a monster deal. After not getting Juan Soto, the Yankees are going out and they're spending their money on players. Cubs were talked about as a potential suitor for Fried. Hey, they needed pitching, but they didn't last long. And the guy got a huge contract. And when you look at it, nothing's telling us that the Cubs are willing to spend that kind of money on any of these guys, at least until they get rid of Bellinger and open up the pockets a little bit. But, I've kind of gotten into this on a lot of these videos, that I just feel like this front office is going to have a really, really good year, and they're going to have to, earn an extension. And then as part of that, I think they'll have deeper pockets to spend next year. But that could be it, or it could be a different group. Now, the last thing I wanted to talk about was a sad thing. I've got my Rhino hat on, and you guys know I've talked about it many times. I'm friends with Rhino. I worked with Rhino for an entire year, on the bus with him every day, in the clubhouse with him every day, and I love him. I think he's a great guy. Not just as a great player, but he's a great person. He reminded me of my grandfather. He still does. He does things the right way. If he tells you he's going to do it, he does it. He's got a great sense of humor, and he's also one of my all-time favorite Cubs. And I hate it to hear that his prostate cancer had come back and spread. So prayers to Rhino. Hopefully this is another one of those victories that he has. We were so excited when we thought that he had beaten cancer, but it is a really tough deal when you get cancer to try to knock it out. So if there's anybody that could pull this off, it is Rhino. But our love and prayers go to Ryan Sandberg, and boy, we wish you the absolute best, and hope that that you do it again, that you ring that bell again. But a sad day to hear that was the case. Guys, thanks for hanging out on the Cubs Baseball channel. Like, subscribe, thumbs up. Get in the comments section. Tell me what you think. What move do you want to see? Where do you want the Cubs to go as far as free agency, knowing that they're going to have to trade Bellinger? And then the other thing, too, is the more I think about it, and even though I know that there's not a great fit for Bellinger right now, getting rid of Cody Bellinger is not going to make the Cubs better. I mean, I don't know where you would play him, but to me, there'd be other solutions that seem to be a lot better. Maybe if you could talk Ian Happ into a trade and then move Bellinger to left field. Getting rid of your best player doesn't, to me, feel like you're getting closer to winning a World Series. And that's got to be the goal every year. So, we'll see what the game plan is, but I'm a little bit mixed on wanting to see Bellinger get traded or keeping him. And, we talked about the Mariners being in play. The Yankees are there too. And what you hope for is, if the Cubs are going to trade him, that you get enough teams interested that not only are you getting rid of the contract, but you're also getting a return, some good players back or some good prospects. And if it's just a salary dump, teams aren't going to be willing to give you much back besides just paying the $27.5 million. So, we'll find out. Anyway, thanks for hanging out with us on the Cubs Baseball channel. We'll do it again tomorrow. Go Cubs.